You build the software, you run the digital ads, the users click, and the revenue graph goes up and to the right.
The classic dream, right?
Exactly. That is the classic Silicon Valley illusion. It makes scaling a tech startup feel like this clean, predictable law of physics.
Yeah, which it almost never is.
Right. But today, welcome to the deep dive, because we are looking at a go-to-market roadmap that completely shatters that illusion. We are stripping down the strategy of a SaaS startup called DynamicMenu.
A fascinating case study.
It really is. We're looking at their journey from absolute 0 to 5,000 paying users, specifically in the massive, chaotic, and incredibly lucrative Indian dine-in restaurant sector.
Which is an environment where those standard tech playbooks just go to die.
Totally.
What Dynamic Menu's strategy proves is that occasionally the only way to achieve massive scale is to start by doing things that absolutely fundamentally do not scale.
You have to abandon the algorithm.
Exactly. You have to embrace the friction of human psychology.
And I was hooked the moment I opened these sources for this deep dive. I mean, it doesn't read like a dry corporate business plan at all.
No, not even a little bit.
It reads like a psychological masterclass. It's all about the cultural and operational realities of the Indian small and medium-sized enterprise market.
The SME market, yeah. It's really a story about human behavior, hyper-local trust, and, well, survival.
So if you are listening to this right now, just put aside whatever you think you know about selling software. We are unpacking this together today, and it is going to completely reframe how you think about getting a product off the ground.
Yeah, because to understand how they eventually capture 5,000 users globally, you first have to look at their, honestly, kind of bizarre starting point.
It's so counterintuitive.
Right. They essentially ignore the entire country.
No national campaigns.
None. No wide-net digital marketing. They obsess over a micro-region. We are talking about claiming just a few specific streets in South Mumbai.
Just a few streets?
Literally. Or like a single postal code in Chennai.
I mean, imagine you are standing in a sweaty 100-degree kitchen in one of these neighborhoods.
Chaos.
Pure chaos. You are an independent restaurant owner, and your margins are razor thin. If some tech bro walks through your door offering a shiny new SaaS tool to, I don't know, synergize your workflow.
Oh, you're going to throw them right out onto the streets.
Exactly. You don't have time for that.
Because that owner is dealing with acute, immediate pain points. Like the cost of printing physical menus every time ingredient prices fluctuate is an absolute nightmare.
Oh, because of inflation and supply issues?
Right. In India, if the price of tomatoes spikes, which happens a lot, a restaurant needs to adjust its prices that same day to survive.
Wow, the same day.
Yeah, and manually crossing out prices with a marker looks cheap, but reprinting menus destroys the profit margin for the entire week.
So DynamicMenu targets these standalone dine-in restaurants to solve that exact problem with a digital QR menu system. But the way they sell it is what's so fascinating to me.
The founder hustle.
Yeah. The founder becomes the chief salesperson and the sole customer success manager.
They're just doing it all.
Lurking in local foodie Reddit and Facebook groups, finding owners complaining about operational headaches, and then the founder physically walks into these restaurants to offer free, in-person consultations.
And that physical presence, that is the bedrock of the Indian SME landscape.
Face-to-face matters.
It matters more than anything. In this market, relationships almost always precede transactional interactions. The founder isn't even pitching a product at first. They're acting as an empathetic listener.
Like a therapist for restaurant owners.
Exactly. They validate the owner's stress before a single line of code is ever discussed.
It really reminds me of opening a boutique bakery. You know, you don't start by trying to franchise 50 locations across the country.
You'd fail immediately.
You start by memorizing your first 100 customers' favorite pastries. You learn their names, you learn their habits.
You do the unscalable work.
Oh, wait, I have to push back on something here, looking at the sources.
Sure, what is it?
I'm looking at their pricing strategy for this initial push. They charge 199 rupees a month. That's about $2.5 US. And they position it as a launch special.
Yeah, the sachet pricing.
Right. But if the entire goal of these first 100 users is just to prove the software actually works, why not use a freemium model?
The Silicon Valley default.
Yeah. Give it away for free to hook them like almost every other tech company and then monetize later. Why charge at all?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the psychology of pricing in this specific cultural context turns that Western logic completely upside down.
Really? Free is bad.
A perpetual free tier, which is, like you said, the holy grail for consumer apps in the West,
Right.
that actively damages a B2B product here.
Why is that?
In the Indian SME market, free forever is often subconsciously categorized as a low-value gimmick, or worse, a flat-out scam.
Oh, wow.
It sets an incredibly low expectation of reliability.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. If it's free, it means there is no contract, which means you probably aren't going to pick up the phone when the system crashes at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night.
Exactly. And an independent restaurant owner cannot afford a tool that breaks during the dinner rush. So instead, the strategy relies on what the sources call sachet pricing.
Like the little shampoo packets.
Precisely. Think about how consumer goods like shampoo or instant coffee are sold in small, highly affordable packets in emerging markets. It lowers the financial barrier to entry without destroying the perception of value.
Okay, I hear that. But if you're only charging a promotional rate of 99 or 199 rupees, how on earth do you cover the cost of a founder spending 2 hours doing door-to-door sales and manual onboarding?
You don't.
The math just doesn't make any sense.
You're right. The math doesn't work for the first year, and that is the calculated risk.
Oh, so it's a loss leader?
Very much so. The research shows this really fascinating psychological divide. 99 rupees feels like an affordable daily utility.
It's the cost of a cup of tea.
Exactly, it's a rounding error. But jumping to 149 suddenly crosses a mental threshold into a discretionary expense that needs justification.
That is a tiny margin of difference to completely change user psychology.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
So they offer a 14 or 30-day full-feature trial to prove undeniable value, and that is followed by that low-cost sachet entry point. The founder's time is an investment in customer lifetime value.
Long-term play.
The sources actually cite Darbar Indian Restaurant, which is a place with a 30-year customer retention record.
30 years.
30 years. That kind of generational loyalty is the gold standard DynamicMenu is aiming for. They are taking a massive upfront loss on acquisition just to build unshakable trust.
Which makes those first 100 users incredibly valuable.
They're everything.
They aren't just a customer base. They are your beta testers, your live focus group, and your most fierce evangelists.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the inevitable physiological wall.
The bottleneck.
Right. You had 100 users. Your founder is out there personally generating QR codes, translating setup guides into regional languages like Marathi or Tamil, acting as a 247 panic hotline.
It's not sustainable.
A human being cannot be the personal best friend to 1,000 restaurant owners. The founder is just going to burn out.
Oh, instantly. The survival of the company suddenly depends on systematizing that hyper-personal touch.
Right?
Because how do you scale the operation to 1,000 users without destroying the very trust you just sacrificed all your margins to build?
You have to build an engine.
And to build an engine. And their positioning completely shifts here. They go from being the trusted partner to a growth accelerator.
They stop relying entirely on the founder's shoe leather. I see in the research they start forging structured partnerships with point-of-sale vendors and delivery aggregators.
Like Zomato and Dunzo.
Yeah.
They offer those established vendors a 20% recurring commission just to recommend DynamicMenu to their existing restaurant clients.
Oh, that's smart. They are transforming trusted intermediaries into a dedicated, decentralized sales force.
Exactly. And furthermore, they incentivize their own highly satisfied user base.
The referral engine.
Right. If an owner refers a neighboring restaurant, they get a free month of service. In an industry where word of mouth is the dominant currency, a referral from a fellow chef carries infinitely more weight than a digital ad.
It's social proof at its peak. But managing that exponential growth requires constant communication.
Constant.
And the sources emphasize that in India, business communication is entirely synonymous with WhatsApp.
It's basically the internet for business there.
They use it to send regional language setup guides, to push content marketing on how to leverage the software for Diwali promotions. But here is where I get really skeptical.
Okay, lay it on me.
If my phone is buzzing every 5 minutes with a corporate promo or a software update, I am blocking that number.
Oh, absolutely.
Aren't they risking becoming just another piece of spam in an already overwhelmed owner's inbox?
Well, that risk is exactly what Meta, the parent company of WhatsApp, recognized.
Oh, they caught on to the spam issue.
Yeah, they fundamentally changed their policies to heavily penalize one-way broadcast-style notifications.
Good.
You cannot just blast thousands of contacts with a digital flyer anymore without getting your number banned. So to survive this massive scaling phase, DynamicMenu has to integrate the official WhatsApp Business API.
Okay, API. Break down the mechanics of that. How does an API change the experience for the restaurant owner?
So an API and application programming interface allows DynamicMenu software to talk directly to WhatsApp's servers behind the scenes.
Right, system to system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It enables a conversation-first hybrid model. Think of it like having a highly efficient digital bouncer at the front door of the restaurant.
I love that analogy.
The AI bouncer instantly handles the 50 people asking basic repetitive questions, like, how do I reset my admin password? Or how do I add a seasonal dessert to the menu?
The low-stakes stuff.
Exactly. By instantly filtering out the noise, the actual human support agents are freed up to step in immediately when an owner has a complex, urgent problem.
So it creates an illusion of infinite availability.
Yes.
The owner feels like they are getting that same phase one founder-level attention, even though an algorithm is handling 80% of the heavy lifting.
It's seamless.
But that automated bouncer has to be flawless. Because earlier, we talked about trust being the ultimate currency.
It's everything.
If you are integrating into a restaurant's core operations, you are dealing with their livelihood.
The stakes are completely existential.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources highlight a chilling example of a recent software glitch in a different, highly funded Indian restaurant billing system.
What happened?
A back-end syncing error led to massive, unrecoverable tax calculation losses for the owners.
Oh my God.
Yeah. For a small business, a tech failure isn't a minor inconvenience where you just refresh the browser. It means you are out of compliance, you lose an entire evening of revenue, and you might not make payroll.
So before DynamicMenu can start pushing what they call data activation, showing owners actionable insights like table turnover rates or which appetizers are underperforming, the underlying architecture must be bulletproof.
Rock solid.
A restaurant owner won't care about a fancy predictive analytics dashboard if the basic QR code fails to load during the Friday night rush.
Not at all. Trust at scale is incredibly fragile. The automation is only accepted if the core utility never falters.
Once that engine is battle-tested, though, they hit a new ceiling.
The next bottleneck.
Right. They've conquered the micro-regions, they've built a trusted automated API framework on WhatsApp, and they've secured those first 1,000 users.
And now they need a massive influx of fuel to reach 5,000.
And that requires crossing borders.
Yes. The strategy dictates a really fascinating 80-20 resource allocation.
Okay, break that down.
They maintain 80% of their operational focus on dominating the massive domestic market in India, but they allocate 20% to a new frontier, the international diaspora.
The expat markets.
Exactly. Hubs with massive Indian expatriate populations and thriving food scenes, the UAE, the UK, the US.
That requires a total marketing flip, doesn't it?
Completely.
I mean, in Mumbai, you are pitching raw operational survival to an owner who is sweating in the kitchen alongside their staff.
Yeah.
But if you are trying to sell this to a high-end Indian fusion restaurant in London, you are likely pitching to an owner who manages the venue from a distance.
A totally different persona.
The marketing has to target tech-savvy international diners who expect a slick, frictionless digital ordering experience.
Right, the localization goes far beyond just translating the app's interface.
It's deeper than language.
Much deeper.
Yeah.
It requires adapting to entirely different cultural expectations around dining, integrating with complex regional payment gateways like Stripe or Apple Pay, and complying with much stricter international data privacy laws.
That's a huge undertaking, and while they are expanding geographically, I'm looking at their domestic expansion, and they introduce a new 499 rupees per month premium tier.
Yeah, enterprise tier.
Yeah. That is a massive jump from the 99 rupees sachet pricing. How are they justifying that?
Well, they are no longer targeting the standalone corner restaurant with that tier. This requires a dedicated enterprise sales playbook.
Oh, so they're going after the big fish.
They are actively pursuing multi-outlet domestic restaurant chains. And a chain with 20 locations doesn't buy software based on a quick WhatsApp chat.
No, I imagine not.
The sales cycle takes months. It requires formal pitch decks, security audits, negotiated service-level agreements, and super hands-on onboarding.
I saw in the sources they start hooking into heavy-duty enterprise software, too, like Zoho for accounting.
Yes, deep integrations.
What does that actually look like in practice? Like, how do you keep a massive 20-location chain from churning and just going to a competitor?
This is where the product fundamentally transforms. They deploy predictive analytics to monitor the health of an account.
Tracking their behavior.
Exactly. The system tracks behavioral metrics. So maybe a particular restaurant manager's login frequency drops by 40%.
Or they haven't updated their specials board in 3 weeks.
Right. The algorithm flags this as a high churn risk. And before the customer even realizes they are frustrated, a human account manager reaches out with a personalized check-in or a targeted training session.
Wow. They are stopping the cancellation before the thought even fully forms in the owner's head.
It's proactive retention.
By integrating directly into their Zoho accounting ledgers and their inventory management, DynamicMenu ceases to be just a digital menu.
It's not just a tool anymore.
Leaving them wouldn't just mean losing a QR code. It would be like tearing out the restaurant's central nervous system.
You've just captured the ultimate strategic endgame.
Really?
Yeah, the positioning evolves one final time here. They started as a humble, trusted partner doing favors. Then they scaled into a growth accelerator. Now they position themselves as the standard operating system for modern Indian dining.
An operating system, like Windows or Mac OS, but built entirely for the sensory, chaotic world of a restaurant kitchen.
Exactly. It becomes the invisible infrastructure that everything else runs on. And to cement that authority, they pursue formal validation.
The government certification.
Right. They acquire endorsements and certifications from regulatory heavyweights like the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, the FSSAI.
That's a big deal.
Huge. Getting certified by the FSSAI signals to every enterprise chain in the country that this software is institutional grade.
And what blew my mind in the research is that even the FSSAI, this massive government regulatory body, they famously use WhatsApp to communicate official validations and updates.
It's inescapable.
It just proves that if you want to be the operating system for India, you have to live inside the apps the country already uses.
You can't force them into a new ecosystem.
No, you really can't. And think about that for a second in your own life. Look at the software you use for your job or the apps that manage your household.
Yeah, the ones you open every day.
The most entrenched products probably didn't start out trying to run your entire life. They started out solving one acute, highly specific pain point. A simple way to share a photo, a quick way to track a run.
The wedge feature.
Exactly. But by building trust, integrating into your daily habits, and predicting what you need next, they transitioned into invisible operating systems. You literally cannot imagine functioning without them today.
It is the pinnacle of product lock-in, but, and this is key, it's a lock-in that is fundamentally built on delivering immense proven value every single day.
When you step back and look at the entire arc, it is a phenomenal journey.
Truly.
I mean, they started with the most unscalable, grinding, sweaty work imaginable.
Yeah.
Walking door to door in the heat of South Mumbai, offering sachet pricing of 99 rupees so an independent owner wouldn't feel scammed.
Acting as a personal concierge just to build a 30-year bedrock of trust.
Yes. Then they systematically automated that trust.
Through WhatsApp.
Right. They utilized conversational WhatsApp APIs to maintain a feeling of intimate, personal connection while seamlessly handling tens of thousands of requests in the background.
And finally, they graduate to an AI-supported, globally integrated operating system for the entire Indian diaspora, complete with predictive churn analytics and enterprise sales teams.
It is a brilliant blueprint.
It really is.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I know you always find a lingering thread in the sources. What is the biggest question this roadmap leaves unanswered for you?
Well, there is a deep underlying tension here that really warrants some thought.
Okay, what is it?
This entire playbook, the door-to-door empathy, the WhatsApp API integration, the linguistic localization, it relies completely on molding the technology to fit the deeply ingrained, relationship-driven cultural habits of Indian SMEs.
They are bending the software to accommodate the culture.
Exactly. They are meeting the users exactly where they are in the messiness of their real lives.
So what's the tension?
The paradox of scale is this. As DynamicMenu and platforms like it successfully become the indispensable operating systems for this massive traditional industry, how long until the technology begins to dictate and change the culture itself?
Oh, wow.
If an AI is predicting when a restaurant will churn, and an algorithm is suggesting which promotional discounts to run, and suppliers are integrated automatically via an API, will the messy, hyperlocal, deeply personal world of traditional Indian dining eventually be homogenized by the very algorithms that were built to serve it?
That's a chilling thought, actually.
Does the culture ultimately change the technology, or does the technology eventually rewrite the culture?
You start by memorizing your first 100 customers' favorite pastries, and you end up with a predictive algorithm telling you exactly what pastry they're going to want to eat next Tuesday.
It is the ultimate tension of scale. a friction we haven't quite resolved yet.
Well, we are going to leave you to mull over that tension. Thank you for joining us on this custom-tailored deep dive. As you go about your day-to-day, take a closer look at the software you rely on.
The invisible operating systems.
Keep questioning those invisible systems that operate quietly in the background of your own life. Because as we've seen with this journey from 0 to 5,000 users, the blueprint for massive scale is never just about clean code.
It's about people.
It is always, always about psychology. We will see you next time.